right, so moving into our next member Q&A, Ben from our Lake Norman location. How do you feel your body before, during, and after camp? And does the time of day matter? This is a good question. I think a lot of people have probably a similar question about fueling your body properly. I know a lot of people have questions about, do I need to eat before I work out, after I work out? You know, do I need to get, how many grams of protein do I need to get in post-workout? So let's talk about it. Let's dive in.
99% of people don't have to worry.
Yeah.
If you're getting your 100 G's and your 100 G's and Z's, protein and water, and your calorie allotment so that you can stay in a slight deficit every week, that's all 99.999% of people actually have to do. And you don't need to worry about it. My personal experience is my body works best when my first meal is afternoon. So I'll do an intermittent fasting routine.
Even on the days you work out?
Yes.
In the morning?
Yes. And it also works out for my lifestyle. So I found that to be the best style for me. But at the end of the day, whether you like to intermittent fast, whether you like to have your 3 traditional standard meals with 2 snacks in between, whether you like to go on the Mediterranean diet, whatever you'd like to do, is I'm not going to play this like game of diet wars. It's because they all have commonality, and the commonality and the common ground is calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2 is composition of calories, protein, fat, carbohydrate. And if your calories are over, you can eat 7,500 calories worth of chicken breast and be a 120-pound female, and you're going to gain weight. It's not, your body can't use all of that energy. It's excess. Yeah. And body fat is where we store excess energy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for me, it's always, or over time, it's been about how do I feel after I eat certain meals. So really just dialing in how much and what foods make me feel my best. And that's what's guided me on like when I eat and how much I eat. And I have to eat when I wake up. Like I'm hungry and I can't fast like him. So we're obviously completely different. But he usually has a meal later in the night and I can't. I'm like full. So it's just different time frames that I'm eating and you're eating. So I think any of our answers here and advice is really what works uniquely for us. And so I would just double in on focusing on what feels good for you. Look at the principles Devan talked about, but what foods are making you feel the best? Are you getting enough protein in, enough water in? And when you do it and how you do it is really based on your lifestyle.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, Morgan. I listen to my body. I always just approach every day making sure I'm going to hit my protein goals. Protein, and then obviously from a carb perspective for energy, because going through the day, I just need to make sure I'm fueling my body the proper way. But I have gone through so many different kind of ups and downs of how I'm fueling my body, and what I've learned works best for me is, again, focusing on protein, focusing on my supplements, and not overthinking it. I can't get in my head about it, because then I'll think about calories, and then that's a whole downward spiral for my mental game. So for my biggest tip, again, if you're somebody that's just like, there's so much information out there, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
G's and Z's. That's all you got to focus on at first. Then if you want to get, you want to play a little bit more, then go for it, but get the basics down first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just making it as simple as possible. I think that's the other thing too. The barrier there is like, I do use a protein shake to supplement at least 40-ish of the grams of the 100 that I'm trying to get in within a day. Because if I don't, then that's just, I'm a busy mom. That's even more meal prep. And
a lot of eating too.
Also that. I'd
really
rather drink it.
There's very much hype for the average everyday person on timing, on when you should eat, what you should eat, why you should eat it. And 99% of the population doesn't need to worry about that. Who does need to worry about that are like bodybuilders, professional athletes. You got, like when I played ball, you would carb up specifically about 48 hours before you would go play.
Yeah.
So our coaches are like, boys, did you eat your pasta? Like, did you, right? Like make sure you have, because that's that explosive energy that we need for our sport, and we need to have it at the right time, which is why you see marathon runners using supplements as they go at the right time. Our friend Jim, who does Ironman, telling me about his nutrition regimen as he's doing a 8-hour, 9-hour event. You are specifically eating so that you can accelerate for a given amount of time. So I wouldn't worry about it too much if you're somebody who, timing that is, if you're somebody who is hitting a stalling point. I won't call it a plateau because it's just your inability to make the adjustment. It's not an actual plateau. Don't use that outward excuse or blame like this plateau because you've been doing it for a while. It's just your inability at the moment to make the right adjustment or your will behind doing what you know you need to do. And so then you can maybe start to look at, okay, can I up my protein? Can I bring my carbohydrate down? Can I eat at different times of the day? Maybe intermittent fasting might work for me. And you can explore that. But I think so many people jump from like step 0 to step like 95, and there's 95 steps. 94 that we need to get to first before we start playing with intermittent fasting and complicated carb cycling. Let's stop going to McDonald's first.
Yeah. The basics.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Great question, Ben. All right. So guys, we've talked about it a couple times, supplements here and there, but also creatine we teased in the beginning of the episode. So now we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the science behind creatine. Do you need it? When do you need it? How much do you need? So we are excited. We have our own creatine that we launched earlier. Well, gosh, when did we launch this, guys? Last year?
Yeah, I want to say end of last year.
I'm like, what month
like
are we in? And when has it
fast.
been? Either way, it is part of our Burn Nutrition lineup, which is super exciting because we believe that it is a essential supplement that you should have in your lineup, whether you're a male or a female, which I say that because I can remember the days where I thought creatine would bloat me or, make me retain water. So I've gone through my fair share of myths when it comes to creatine. So I remember when Matt Morris, our VP who oversees all of our nutrition, he kind of came to me and he started encouraging me to take it and potentially add it to the lineup. And I remember thinking, but wait, should females be taking it? So I've learned a lot over the time. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I think, are you two going to scoop it?
I was going to say, guess this is perfect timing because yesterday or the day before our creatine ran out, and I've literally since we launched this every single day, and so Trish was like, "Hey, I didn't get mine in yet either." I'm like, "Okay, so we dry scooping?"
Yeah.
Trish has a dry scoop idea, so you guys are welcome to join us if you'd like to, do this little dry scoop here. Trish,
man.
Yeah, I also take creatine every day.
Yeah. I took mine this morning with my shake, and that's what I've found to be helpful. Is like, you got to get it into the routine. Otherwise you do forget,
We just like shenanigans as well.
I know you do.
That's just part of it. That's part of it. So,
but I also, this is how I take my creatine right after camp.
You really?
It's like part of my routine. I just dry scoop because it's like, it's done. And it's actually really easy to dry scoop. I
agree.
Yeah. It tastes like nothing.
Yeah. Ours is flavorless. Yeah. So you can add it you can dry scoop it with some water. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Okay. So it's
the little shake technique
flavorless.
there.
So you can put it in your smoothies. You can put it
That is
in.
easy.
I have some white on my face.
Yeah, it doesn't look good if they didn't know you just did creatine.
Yeah, right. You can add it to our Replenish product, which is a hydration drink. So it's super easy.
Did drugs on the podcast.
Well, I can remember one time, Trish, we were traveling and she she just started taking it, and it is very important to take it every day because you don't want to miss a bunch of days. It's not good for your body. And so she brought it in like a white baggie, and I remember we're going through security, and it was like, it's creatine, I promise. So
I got nervous.
I'm pretty sure they probably had to test it with one of those strips. But all right, Devan, do you want to share a little bit about what creatine is?
Yeah, it was inevitable for us to produce creatine because it is the most studied supplement of all the supplements, and it has gotten a rap for being like a testosterone boosting thing for men. Yeah. It's not true. It affects men and women in almost identical ways, but we all produce creatine inside of our body. You can also, it's found in the muscle cells, and you can also get it from alternate sources outside of your body as well. So we synthesize it from amino acids, which amino acids are the building blocks of protein, as most of us know if they have been following the podcast, mainly in the liver and in the kidneys. It's found in dietary, it's found in food, red meat, fish is a lot of places where we will find it. And it's traditionally made popular by bodybuilders and athletes because what creatine actually does is basically gives like a jolt of energy to the ATP cycle, which is how we produce and manufacture and output energy in the body. And it really helps accelerate short bursts, right? So like if you're trying to push through some weight and get a PR, right? Creatine is going to really help you. And when you push through the weight and you get a PR, what you're doing is recruiting more muscle fiber. When you recruit more muscle fiber, you break down the muscle in the moment, in which if you're doing your G's and your Z's, you're gonna then be able to have enough protein again to then break down into amino acid, and then therefore replacing the creatine in the muscle cells. So that's essentially how it works. I had to do a little bit of research just to bring up some of the more nerdy stuff.
Yeah. And I was just going to say too, what I've learned in researching this supplement and hearing a lot from, we had Dr. Abby Smith on the podcast as well. We also had one of our member summits, and listening to her talk about, cause she studies it a lot. And she talked a lot about cognitive performance. So it's really good for brain health, and it's also good for even for pregnancy and postpartum, or someone that's going through a cycle. So those are two things that I think aren't talked about a lot, because there's a lot of understudy in women and how supplements impact women, which is what her mission is. And so we'll make sure to link Dr. Abby's resources as well, because those are the two things that I was like, oh, I thought of it always as muscle, building lean muscle or recovery. But those two things I think are very important, which is why I've been encouraging my mom to get on it. Because as she gets older, I want her to have that cognitive performance. I want her to have good bone health. I want her to, if she's going through postmenopause, things like that. So we'll make sure to share a lot, but those are some great benefits that I think go unnoticed.
Yeah. And there's a ton of studies on what it does to the muscle. There's just becoming a lot of more studies on what it's doing for cognitive ability. And so just to kind of wrap this up, everybody should take 3 to 5 grams per day of creatine, and don't miss a day. And it takes a little bit to assimilate too. So this isn't something you're just going to get on one time, and feel it. It's not like pre-workout. Like pre-workout is caffeine based. You take it, you use it, it's pretty much gone. You burn through it. Creatine is going to be this you want to continually replenish and give your body what it needs, so you can have the energy to go a little bit harder in your workouts. And I've already explained the pathology of that once you start lifting heavier. And just to kind of keep that going, once you actually start building more muscle, and creatine being a part of that muscle building process, your basal metabolic rate goes up. And when you're burning more calories at rest, I hate to say this, but it's true. The cookie and the ice cream doesn't hurt as much when you have more muscle mass to burn through it and to metabolize it. Yeah. Muscle requires you to burn more energy than body fat. So listen, I'm not going to be as knowledgeable as a PhD on creatine. My knowledge really stops at how you use it for athletic performance. And I just want to say that the science behind creatine is there. Yeah. There's people we've had on the podcast that Morgan said they can go much, much deeper than we can. But our mission is to make creatine consumption on a regular basis normal for everyone, but especially normal for our female members.
Yeah, normal and affordable. And ours is $19.99 for 30 servings, and it comes with a scooper that's 5 grams. So like Devan said, 3 to 5 grams is what is recommended. So you can buy it online, on our shop, or in gym if you attend one of our work or one of our locations. So you guys are both on it, right?
Yep. I've been on it for like 6 months, and I will say, like, my experience, I do the cognitive stuff. I have noticed a difference, but more importantly, the way that my performance in the gym. So like I had struggled with my pull-ups, just a really fast story. I hadn't got them back after my 3rd kid. I was really just like bummed. I was like, man, I'm only at 1 unassisted pull-up. Obviously it takes consistency, and you still have to go to the gym, and you still have to do the work on your muscles, on my back muscles to get there. But once I started taking creatine, I noticed I was improving how many reps I could get in a row. So I went from 1 to 5 unassisted pull-ups within like 2.5 months. Nice. And again, I'm not crediting all that to taking creatine. I'm not saying you're going to take creatine, you're going to be all these pull-ups, but I do think it did help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, cool. For sure. I definitely felt a massive difference in just my longevity too. When I was in my workouts, like I wasn't getting gassed so quickly, especially with lifting heavy. But I didn't know a lot about creatine. Honestly, I didn't know anything about creatine until we had introduced it into Burn, and everybody was like, you should take it. It's really good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take it. Peer pressure.
The cool kids are doing it.
Yeah, they are. They're doing it, and they're feeling really good doing it too. So hop on the train.
It has been one of the best sellers. I don't know, Morgan, if out of our best sellers where it ranks, but it is on the shelf, off the shelf in the gyms. And so, like we said, get it online or get it in gym, but get it because you are going to benefit. You're spending your hard work, your money, your time, your effort, your energy, all the things, all the sacrifices you make to work on yourself. You want to make sure that every minute of every workout is maximally beneficial for you. And that's one way to do it. And
then can I also just say, if you guys are listening and you have questions, drop them. If you're watching it on YouTube, drop them in the comments because we can go back and look and just make sure. Cause I know again, marketing, we get a lot of DMs from our members just asking about creatine. So if you have those burning questions, let us know before they leave your brain.
Yeah, absolutely.